Welcome to Ryfel, the most sinister city in the Young Kingdoms. A wretched hive where pirates and slavers rule the case, where the local tax is paid in public flames, and where a Panthangian sorcerer keeps human sacrifices chained beneath a temple of skulls. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Elric and the Young Kingdoms. Last episode, we finally explored Argimiliar and learned a lot about spellcasting in the world of Moorcock. Today, we're sailing away from Argimiliar and making our way to Ryfel, one of the darkest and evil cities in the Young Kingdoms. I'd like to give a huge thanks to everyone who supported my channel, and if you would like to see more Eternal Champion content, please make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts and ideas for new videos. We're almost done with the southern continent, and the next nations we'll be covering do not have as much information on from both Moorcock or the RPG books. I'll continue mapping out the world and include a lot more information about the world as it suits the theme of the episode. I like to keep the episodes as compact and restricted to a general range of topics to not overwhelm you with too many names and topics. And I'm sure a lot of you that have come into my videos without much prior knowledge have noticed that every loose term I throw around gets expanded on. I very much would like to expand the topics by covering some noteworthy characters from the books as well, so please stay tuned for that. And if you feel as if I've earned it by the time you finish the episode, make sure you subscribe. With all this out of the way, let's sail to Ryfel. We leave our tavern in Cadsandria and head out to the docks. We've made travel arrangements, and today you will be sailing around the Horn of Argimiliar onwards to pick a raid. A sailor seeing us getting on the boat tells us to be wary of Ryfel, and tells us to hire some mercenaries around the docks as guides, if we want to live long enough to continue our journey. We nod in acknowledgement and head out to our cabins, which are less accommodating than what we've seen on our ship to Argimilar. We go out to the poop deck and take one last look at glorious Cadsandria and its beautiful spires. One of us asks what we really know about Ryfel and why it has such a bad reputation. The town's history traces its origins all the way back to Melnibone's glory days, where it began as a simple way station for journeys into Picaradian heartlands. Back then, it never grew into a proper town. It was simply too far away from anything of value. During the war with the Dharzi, the black citadel was built on the tor overlooking the harbor as a defensive garrison. When the war ended, it was abandoned to ruin, and a local warlord of a tribe called Ryf moved in. More clans joined over the centuries, and settlements grew from a shabby collection of tents and yurts into a grim city of narrow, poorly maintained mud bricks and dark granite buildings. 100 years ago, things began to change when Pantang sent its warriors to pick a raid. After prevailing in a bloody battle for control of the harbor, town, and citadel, the Panthangians gave the local residents a choice: allow Panthangian occupation or be enslaved and sacrificed. Picaradians chose survival. The clouds begin to darken, and our ship makes its way out of the port. We go back below into our cabins and begin to write out notes of our journey so far. We also search some of our old records to learn a bit more about the Dharzi War. Unfortunately, not much has been written about the conflict between the Bright Empire and the Masters of Beast Magic and Genetic Manipulation. The conflict was essentially a magical world war. Melnibone relied on demons and dragons, while the Dharzi relied on their magic, mutated hounds, and hunting beasts. Eventually, Melnibone unleashed an apocalyptic sorcery and fully mobilized their dragon force, which utterly wiped the Dharzi from the face of the earth. The aftermath was a cursed mutated wasteland with some surviving twisted descendants of the hunting beasts. Days pass, and the scent of the sea turns foul as our ship nears the deep water harbor of Ryfel. Built from ample quantity of strong black granite, the Melnibonians originally constructed these quays to accommodate massive battle barges, meaning the docks can easily shelter over 100 of the Young Kingdom's ships with very much ease. We collect our bearings, and the reality of our surroundings sets in. Life has little value in this place, and violence is in the air. We secure some mercenaries scouting the docking ships and make sure to keep our light coin purses well hidden. The mercenaries are leading us deeper into the city and tell us of the Woko governor, a man named Kadan Boorg, appointed by the theocrat Jagarin Learn to rule over the miserable port as a punishment for offending him. They tell us he cares little of the city and delegates much of his responsibility to his half-cousin and a local sorcerer. Neither of those carry any real authority around the wretches of Ryfel as much as the Black Guards do. Stationed in the Black Citadel that looms over the harbor, their battalion of 300 strong Panthangian soldiers in black cloaks and black and green lacquered breastplate. You won't see them around the city restoring order. They only venture out to collect revenue from the local pirate booty, a mere 15% of their plunder, and a staggering 50% of all slave sales to be sent back to the Black Rock of Wamgarl, the capital of Pantang. We approach a Woko Inn and pay for the drinks of the mercs that accompany us and our lodgings for the evening. Around the table in the corner of the inn, they tell us stories about those that refuse to pay the extortionist rates of the Black Guard. The last captain that tried to negotiate his rate down got hung from his own ship and flayed alive while every 10th member of his crew's head decorated the pikes around the harbor. We headed over to the inn with the intention of leaving our belongings behind before heading back out into Ryfel, but our merc friends' stories leave us a little worried. Perhaps that was their intention, as they also perhaps do wish to stay as little as possible out into the cutthroat city. So we stay huddled around the inn, and it remains relatively empty still, but we can imagine it will get very busy soon. We tell our new friends about our journeys out around the Young Kingdoms, and they listen with great curiosity, and as time passes, more people join around us and begin to listen in our conversations from across the table, and before long, our mercenaries friends tell us a bit more about the city, as we didn't get to see it all yet. They tell us of the Temple of Death, erected by a Panthangian by the name of Malagan. The black granite building radiates malevolence, and the outer walls are decorated by many eyeless rotting skulls, other bodies and positions that hint at elaborate torture. The building is dedicated to the Deadbringer of Chaos, Codros the Reaper. The name rings a bell to us, and we look at one another. What we know that our mercenary guides don't is how the Stormbringer novel ended. We know that Chadros is not a distant myth. He makes his appearance in Book 4 titled Doomlord's Passing. He manifests himself into the material world and arrives alongside Mabella the Faceless and Slaughter the Old as part of the Eldest Triad. Chadros wields his great kite and fights against Donblas, the Justice Maker. It's important to note that despite him being called the Reaper, unlike most Chaos Lords, he also finds some beauty in his work. He revels in the beauty that can be found within the ruin and death. But for now, the end of the world is still brewing, and we nod in acknowledgement to our guides, as they continue to tell us about the inside of the temple, where an alabaster statue dedicated to Chadrus looms over an altar shaped like a smith's anvil, permanently stained with dried blood. Some type of a trapdoor some claim to have seen from which screams can be heard. Every full moon they tell us that Maligan conducts a ritual sacrifice to his dark gods, and once a year on the night of the last full moon, a human slave is sacrificed and their blood is collected in a stone goblet which gets passed around for all initiated to drink. However, chaos cults have not all completely taken over Ryfel. A massive wooden stockade on the west side separates into another part of the city, the place of the clans. Here, rugged barbarians of old cling to their old fate, worshipping the stern and unforgiving elemental god Ram the Earthfather, while others have been corrupted by Pantheon goat and now worship chaos. When the clans are in town, the entire lawless sport flips on its head, and for 1 week during the summer and winter solstice, the strict clan law is brutally enforced. During this period, the clans elect a new supreme leader, the Chief of Chiefs. All murderers, rapists, and arsonists caught during the gatherings are swiftly executed by beheading. Even the Black Guard doesn't step out of line during that time. A fascinating and very tense standoff, ancient primal laws of Earth holding back the creeping corruption of chaos, be it only for a few days at a time, but fascinating nonetheless. For now, we bid our friends goodnight and head over to our lodging. This is Ryfel. Today, we uncovered a city built on ancient forgotten bones of Melnibone, taken over by the crude imitators of the Dreaming City, the Pantheons, and the ruthless Black Guard. We had a peer into the future of this world and learned about those that oppose chaos still. It is indeed a grim, sinister place, and who knows how long we'll stay here. Perhaps we should spend some time learning more about the Chaos Lords. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And as always, make sure you subscribe to explore the rest of Moorcock's world with me, and be aware the journey will be long and perilous, and I'll be glad to have you with me.